I'd like to call the city council to order in spite of Mr. Downing not being here.
Yeah, really.
Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, conduct a roll call vote, or roll call.
Heidi,
Here.
Clinker.
Here.
Nargi. Here. Reynolds.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Allersmeyer.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Downing. Campbell.
Here.
Quorum present.
I'd like to have a motion from the council for the suspension of rules for the purpose of 2 public hearings. The third one will not be necessary because it was inadvertently scheduled for a public meeting, but was not necessary. So, Mr. Heidi,
What are we doing here now, Coach?
We're
suspending
recessing.
the rules.
Recess.
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 Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I did.
Oh, you did?
All right, I'll second the move for recess.
Thank you.
You know what it is. Okay, good.
Thanks.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Ordinance 2018-24, an ordinance for additional appropriation from Police Education Fund 2320.
The floor is open for public hearing concerning this particular ordinance. There being no comments,
Moving along.
we'll move on.
Ordinance 2018-25, an ordinance for appropriation of an Economic Development Income Tax Fund, Edit Fund number 2090.
Mr. Clinker,
There you go. Nobody? I move we reconvene.
very good.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approval of the minutes. Mr. Clinker,
I move that we approve the minutes as communicated.
Second?
Mrs. Nargi, was that second?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Those minutes are available for anybody's examination in the clerk's office during the regular scheduled hours.
I don't think they voted on the minutes, Mr. Kennedy.
All those in favor of accepting those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Presentation and disposal of claims.
There are none.
Petitions and communications.
There are none.
Reports of city offices.
Fleet Maintenance Monthly October, Police Department Monthly October, Renew Department Monthly October, and Waterworks Department Monthly October.
Once again, all of those reports are on file in the clerk's office for your examination during regular business hours. Ordinances for second reading.
Ordinance 2018-23, an ordinance to amend ordinance 2017-37, and ordinance fixing the salaries of the appointed officers and employees of the city of Lafayette, Indiana for the year 2018, excluding the sworn and protective occupation and law enforcement members of the police and fire departments.
Mrs. Nargi.
I move we hear and approve ordinance 2018-23.
A second.
Second. Any comments by members of the Common Council? There being none, Mr. Jones.
Yes, Mike Jones, Controller. Mr. President, council members, this particular ordinance before you cleans up a couple of items that we found in getting preparation, or starting our preparations for the audit. We had a position in the parks that actually changed in June, and I didn't get this to you right away, but it changed, took away a natural resource planner and added a project manager. This actually saved money for the parks, but in order to make sure that the title is correct and clean up for the SBOA, we need to change that title. And the second item on this was a Scrivener's error for a systems operator in the waterworks. There were 3 listed and there should have been 4. And those are the 2 things that are on this ordinance.
Anyone have any questions of Mr. Jones? There being none, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Any members of the audience wish to address Mr. Jones? There There being no questions, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-23?
Heidi,
Aye.
Clinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Aldersmeyer,
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2018-24.
An ordinance for additional appropriation from Police Education Fund 2320.
I move to hear ordinance 2018-24.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Any comments before we start? There being none, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. This particular ordinance, we are asking to add some additional funds to the Police Education Fund. This particular fund can purchase anything, any legal purchase, can be used for any legal purchase inside of the city. We had a 2011 administration car get hit and totaled, and being this late in the year, we didn't have any funds to replace that car. It would have normally been replaced during the 2019 series of purchases that we would have done. So I'm asking to add $25,000 to this fund so that we can purchase a new administration vehicle for, I believe it goes to a detective.
Any questions of Mr. Jones? Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Members of the audience wish to address this ordinance? There being no comments, would the clerk conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-24?
Heidi,
Aye.
Clinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Aldersmeyer,
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2018-25.
An ordinance for appropriation of an Economic Development Income Tax Funds Edit Fund Number 2090.
What's the,
Mr. President, I move that we excuse me, I move that we hear and approve ordinance 2018-25 on second reading.
thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments by members of the Common Council? There being none, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the council, you have before you the ordinance to appropriate Economic Development Income Tax Funds, known as EDIT, for the purchase of the parking lot where the current old Osco sets up at Main and Cassuth. I went through the full presentation last time. I'd be happy to do it again if you'd like me to, but as you know, with the new baseball stadium, the zoo exhibits we'll be adding, and the 2 new slides to Tropicanoe Cove, we put together an overall way of increasing parking up at Columbian Park, and this parking lot certainly plays a major role in that, as you know, with flipping the baseball stadium, so the facade will be on Main Street as people are coming into our community. That parking lot will be less than a block away from the new entrance. So took about 3 years of negotiating to get to this point, but we were able to reach a very favorable agreement on the cost of that, and we are just thrilled to be able to add all those parking spaces for all the events that we plan on doing at the new stadium and at the park. So this is edit money that we have, and we just appreciate you appropriating it for this particular purchase.
I think you mentioned something of Oakland School. Would you go into that, please? That the parking lot was going to be available for their functions.
Sure. I mean, it's something when it's not needed for Columbian Park, we'll certainly work with the school that if they have overflow events there or something and they need some parking over there, we'd be more than happy to work with them to accommodate some of their larger events also, and it'll probably come in really handy for them on certain nights.
Thank you.
Just one question, Mr. Mayor. How soon are we going to knock that building down, and how soon?
Well, once you guys appropriate this, and Ed did the
We got the modernized legal description and survey today.
that come in today. Yeah.
And we've sent that off to the title company, so we should be able to close within, once this appropriation's approved, within a week.
Yeah, well, then we'll
Week to
make
2
preparations.
weeks.
Our goal is to definitely get it down this winter, in January or February. We'd like to have it down before springtime gets here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Members of the audience wish to address the mayor concerning this appropriation.
Just one quick one. Perry Barbie, 3700 Redbud Avenue. On my visits throughout the community, one of the questions comes to, everyone asks me, is this gonna be a paid lot, or is this gonna be a free lot?
Free lot,
Free lot.
just like all our other parking lots.
That's what I thought, but I thought I'd get it from the horse's mouth. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments by members of the audience? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-25?
Heidi,
Aye.
Clinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2018-26.
An ordinance amending certain sections in Title 10 Animals.
What's the pleasure, Mrs. Williamson?
I move that we hear and approve ordinance 2018-26.
Thank you, Mr. Heidi.
Aye. Second.
Second.
I don't know where the hell I'm at tonight.
You're in the city council chambers.
Can I be
What's it going to
excused?
be, aye or?
It's going to be a second. Second. May I be excused?
Yeah, go ahead.
Been a tough
Any
day.
comments by members of the Common Council? It says that the legal team was going to
Well,
address this.
yeah, I addressed some of it at our first reading. The animal control ordinance that we amended a number of years ago, we've been working with our animal control department, particularly Josh Clumpy, who's been in charge of it, and really making a lot of progress to see what kinds of things that we could do to tweak it. There's still a lot going on, and further amendments are going to come before you, but primarily wanted to get this one that will help Josh take care of issues concerning animals not being taken care of in the winter months in terms of not having appropriate food, water, or shelter. And so what, to highlight it again, and I won't highlight it as totally unless you want it, but it's expanded the general requirements for animal care and treatment, particularly when it's confined in a shelter, and what kind of shelter, what kind of food. It has provided a new tool for the animal control officer to impound animals for repeated violations of their failure to care for their own pets. It added a failure to reclaim if an animal, a fine, if an animal's taken because it's been running loose and the owner is they know who the owner is and they're notified and they don't reclaim the animal, we can fine them for that lack of ownership responsibility. It has a provision to encourage microchipping of animals that are fined, and then we've added a habitual offender provision to the ordinance because there are a number of repeat offenders, and we think that having a habitual offender, just like we do in the criminal system, will give another tool to animal control to be able to manage the animal population in the city of Lafayette. Those are kind of the highlights. Josh is here. I mean, there's continued work. He's done an exemplary job of taking a department that didn't exist and turning it into something that's really working well, and it's continuing to work on changes. So he's here if you need any more questions or feedback from him.
Thank you, Mr. Chosney. Any questions or comments by members of the Common Council? Members of the audience wish to address this particular ordinance?
I'm Jim Peterson, 1817 Arcadia Drive here in Lafayette, and I represent both myself and the Greater Lafayette Kennel Club, of which a number of our members are here. And obviously, being dog owners, dog lovers, to love me is to love my dog or vice versa, so that's what we think about our dogs. We are just as concerned as the animal control people, anyone else, as to the well-being of any animals in town. And so we want to work with you, help you if any way we can, to make sure that the problems that come up, of which there have been some, are alleviated, or we figure out some way to deal with them. Our primary concern right at the moment, and I don't know if this has been addressed in any of the things that the legal counsel has looked at, is it seemed like there was a lot of emphasis towards the number of dogs or the number of cats that are there. And that is very concerning to us because numbers, while numbers have some play in the overall situation, you can have a dog lover that's got 8 dogs that are treated like gold, and you can have a dog person that's got 2 dogs and they're left outside in minus 10-degree weather. And a good example is, or what I would bring up to you, I happen to have golden retrievers, and we have a golden retriever breed club, Central Indiana. We also have a rescue, as most breeds do. And we have a member in our breed club that lives in Lebanon, he and his wife, and they've got about 3 acres right on the edge of town, and they take in the rescue dogs, and they don't take them in to foster them for finding another home. When they get to this place, they're there for the rest of their life. And they've had blind dogs, dogs with only 3 legs, dogs that have chronic illnesses, dogs that if you put them in a shelter are not going to be adopted most likely. They're just hardship cases. They're going to end up being put down. So they bring these dogs in and they keep them there, and they typically have 3, 4, or 5 dogs and as many as 8 or 9 on occasion. So now here's the situation you get into. I know it from the discussion we had last month and from our discussions with animal control and what have you, they're not after the people like us. They know the people like us are taking care of our dogs. Mm-hmm. But now you get somebody, that situation there, they've got 8 dogs, the dogs are living the life of Riley, they're at heaven, and now all of a sudden they get a neighbor that gets a burr under their tail, no pun intended, and doesn't like these folks. And so the neighbor calls animal control and says, hey, the Smiths down here have got 8 dogs. And animal control says, thank you, and okay, we'll look into it. And maybe he already knows the Smiths, that's no problem, they take care of their dogs, or he goes out and makes the, obligatory call, finds out everything's fine. A couple weeks later, 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, the phone rings on Mr. Chosnick's desk, and he answers the phone and finds out it's another attorney in town. This attorney says, hey, Ed, I represent some so-and-so. And they called animal control a couple weeks ago and reported that the Smiths down here have got 8 dogs, and animal control hasn't done anything about it. Just want to give you the chance to, take care of the situation, but I just want to give you a heads up that they've asked me if we don't resolve this to file a complaint, get a hold of the newspaper, get a hold of the TV, and let them know that, the city is selectively enforcing codes, and your hands are tied. Because the ordinance, the code says X amount of dogs, X amount of cats, you got to pull the dogs. And those dogs aren't going to find another home. So that's the crack, the corner you get yourself into when you start going down by limiting by numbers. Now, there are ways to deal with this, and that's what we need to get, an education process and a dialogue going. And what I fall back on is saying, cockfighting is illegal. But we figured out a way to make it illegal without putting all the poultry farmers out of business. So there ought to be a way to do this, to give him the tools he needs to take care of these animals when he finds that situation, because we want them taken care of just as bad as he does. But without potentially putting us in a situation where you guys and he gets backed into a corner that adversely affects dogs that are being taken care of, even though they might be in a home where there's more than the 3 or the 5 or whatever the number limit is. So we'd like to have some consideration towards that. Yes.
Any other people?
If I can just make a comment regarding that, the 3 dogs and 3 cats was part of the ordinance that was adopted 11 years ago. That is not being added new. So for 11 years or 12 years, it's not been an issue. The only thing that we've changed, this amendment, the only thing it does related to that is it allows, it didn't say what the issue was or how it could be handled if there were more than 3 dogs or 3 cats. It adds the following language: animals found in violation of this section may be impounded. That's the only change in the ordinance. The limitation on the number of dogs and cats has been in there for 11 years. And I concur that we need to continue working with Josh to see if we can create a little, some more exceptions to allow for that case of a neighbor creating an issue. It hadn't happened in 11 years, but it could, and I understand what you're saying, and I think, that we'll continue working with Josh to try to provide some exceptions to that limitation. But I think generally, for the average population, a limitation is effective. But breeders, people that are caring for animals, there's got to be some ways that we can work on making some exceptions to make people like you feel more comfortable and not worrying about a neighbor making a complaint for that issue when it's really something else that they're mad at you about. So I understand that and just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chosnick. Any other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Hi there again. Laura Hooser, West Lafayette, Indiana. I'm the incoming president for the Greater Lafayette Kennel Club, and I won't take much more of your time, but we just want to again say that we would be very interested in continuing dialogue for these other points that you're talking about. We do have ideas and suggestions that would help with these, other than adding more penalties to people, educational activities, ways that maybe we can get some of the problems solved. So if we could be, we have 66 members, many of them are associated with Purdue, the vet school, the ag school. We have a lot of very expert dog folks in our club with a variety of fields. So we could be an asset to the community, and we would appreciate being asked to help out before we have to come here and give a spiel. So I know you've mentioned further additions to the ordinance, so please keep us in the loop and allow us to add suggestions for Josh.
Yeah, I think if Josh has your contact information, that,
I think he probably does, Josh. Yeah, that would be great.
okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Clinker?
I have a question for Mr. Chosnick. Would the language of something like uncared for beyond 3 dogs or cats at the determination of the animal control officer, would that language make it so that person that might have the bird?
We need a little bit more details about what the exceptions would be. Right now, it does, animal control officer has discretion because it doesn't say anything. Right. And I think to intentionally give him discretion might create issues, but I think there's some points that they've made that we can provide some exceptions to the ownership limitations, and I think, we'll look forward to getting some suggestions from the Greater Lafayette Kennel Club and any other people that have some expertise in the area.
Any other comments? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-26?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ordinances for first reading.
Ordinance 2018-27, an amendment to ordinance number 2010-11, inclusion of certain property in the local Upper Main Street Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
What's the pleasure, council? Alsmeyer?
Mr. President, I move we hear and approve ordinance 2018-27.
Second.
Mrs. Williamson? And comments by members of the Common Council. Mr. Collier?
Good evening. John Collier, Economic Development Department, and Staff Liaison to the Historic Preservation Commission. You have before you an amendment to ordinance 2010-11 for inclusion of property in the local Upper Main Street Historic District. The property owner, Weinstein Nelson Developers from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, voluntarily petitioned the Lafayette Historic Preservation Commission at its November 19th meeting for the property's inclusion in this local district. The property is made up of 3 parcels at 217 and 221 North 6th Street and 615 Ferry Street, which previously housed the Journal and Courier and currently houses the Press Apartments as well as some commercial office space. The property is bounded by the existing local Upper Main Street Historic District on the east and the south sides. And the Historic Preservation Commission enthusiastically supports the property's inclusion in that district and recommends the council's approval for its inclusion as well.
Thank you, Mr. Collier. Any questions of Mr. Collier? There being none, thank you. John. Members of the audience wish to question Mr. Collier or make comments? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-27?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Olesmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2018-28.
An ordinance authorizing the City of Lafayette, Indiana to issue its taxable economic development revenue bonds and approving and authorizing other actions in respect thereto.
Mr. Heidi?
I move to hear ordinance number 2018-28.
Second?
You know what you're seconding?
Yeah, absolutely.
Speak up now, Mr. Heidi, from now on. Come on.
It's not one of my better days.
Okay, good. Any questions or comments by members of the Common Council? Mayor.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the council, this is ordinance before you is for the Star City Crossing development that we've spoken about at length that is being built next door here on the lot west of City Hall. We have been through a lengthy process with the Redevelopment Commission, the Economic Development Commission, who met at 5:30 earlier today on this matter and approved it. And now it's back to the City Council this month and then next month. As you know, the city is engaged in that particular project, and it's absolutely a wonderful project. It's mixed-use development with apartments above it. You've all seen the pictures. We distributed all of those, and we do have one of the developers here today, and that could speak to the project. And then we also have our legal counsel and our financial advisor here today. So have you not seen a picture of it? Okay, you got it? Okay,
Yeah, I got
okay, all right. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I can call up the legal team to go through all the process again. We call up the financial folks to go through it again, or if you'd like them to make a very short presentation, if you want to tell me how you would like that done.
What's the feelings of the council?
I'm good with, I thought we got a pretty good presentation.
Last time.
Okay.
Guess that's it, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Members of the audience wish to address this particular building situation. There being none, then would the clerk conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-28?
Heidi? Sorry. Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Olesmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. You folks want to go back to Indianapolis?
Unless you want us to stay and hang out.
Why don't you? Add a little. Thank you. Thank you.
By the hour. Head on out.
Ordinance 2018-29.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana to rezone certain real estate from R1U to R2U, 1623 Underwood Street. Frank Faust Jr., petitioner.
I move we,
Clinker?
oh, go ahead.
I move we hear ordinance 2018-29 on first reading.
Nargi?
I second it.
Any questions or comments by members of the Common Council? Yes, sir.
Hello, Frank Faust, petitioner, 1623 Underwood Street. Basically, what I'm trying to do here is rezone this property, 1623 Underwood Street, from an R1U to an R2U. Right now, as it currently sits, it is a duplex, which is an R2U. But back in the day, I mean, this place has been vacant for many of years. But back in the early 2000s, it was part of a neighborhood rezoning program, and since it was vacant, the area planning rezoned it back to an R1U. I'm just trying to keep the structure as it is, as a duplex, since it is an older structure, and redo it and make it into an R2U. That's it.
What do you plan on doing with the building, Frank?
Yeah, that's my question.
Sorry. So right now, it sits as a duplex. It looks like somebody did try to convert it maybe a few years ago to maybe a catering place. There's a few cutouts from where you could walk from one side of the duplex to the other side of the duplex. I just plan to put those knockouts back up and turn it back into a duplex. Right now, I don't know if I'm, can I give you guys pictures of what it looks like right now? Okay.
Why, sure.
So this is as it sits right now, and I just want to leave it as it is, update it. I mean, you'll see that the bathroom's missing its fixtures and stuff like that, but I just want to leave it as it was, and somebody intended it to be a duplex, and rezone it back to an R2U.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Faust?
Mr. President, on behalf of the plan, we took it under, it was a 12-0 yes, and what he wants to do in revitalizing it. So I think it goes back to early 1900s, 1890, something like that.
The structure was originally constructed back in 1850.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And it was been a church at one time, and it's looks like he's going the right direction. So
Yeah, it was a church, and then there was a couple of owners that tried to turn it into maybe a catering hall or something like that, and it went through a few different rezones, but they were never successful. And that's why the Area Planning Commission just defaulted it back to an R1 use since it was vacant and not being used.
Any other questions?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to take the opportunity to publicly thank you, sir, for reclaiming that piece of property.
You're welcome. I mean, it's a historic piece of property, and I just want to leave it with its historic characteristics and make it back into a duplex and get a couple of families in there.
Yeah, make it viable.
Thanks.
Thank
We
you.
may call on you again. Any questions or comments from the audience in addition to Steve's comments there? Okay. Well, let's see some more pictures.
Oh, okay. Then we'll vote. I saw these, didn't you?
yeah,
Jerry?
I seen him at the area plan. Yeah.
Okay? Last chance. Any questions or comments of Steve? Thank you. Would the clerk conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-29?
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2018-30.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana to rezone certain real estate from R2 to NBU 2200 Ferry Street Parkside Pharmacy.
You don't look like Joe Bumbleberg.
I am not Joe Bumbleberg.
Do you?
Okay. I move we
And a
hear
nice
2018-30.
I second.
Any comments or questions by members of the Common Council? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sarah Wyatt of Ball Eggleston, here on behalf of Joe Bumbleberg and the petitioner, Parkside Pharmacy. The ordinance before you is an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County to rezone the real estate located at 2200 Ferry Street from R2 to NBU. The rezone is necessary to allow Parkside Pharmacy to expand their business by adding a second floor to the existing structure. So the footprint will remain the same. They're just wanting to add a second floor to serve as additional office space. This petition did receive a favorable staff report at the APC level, and I do have Stacy Kane and Luke Mansfield of Parkside Pharmacy available to answer any questions that you may have tonight.
Any questions of this young lady?
Again, Mr. President, area plan, it was 13 to yes, and it's doing nothing more than adding the second story. It's not.
Give me that vote once more.
Yeah, 13 to 0.
13-0, thank you.
Yeah, and approved by the staff's area plan also.
Thank you.
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Any questions or comments by members of the audience? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-30?
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Ordinance 2018-31.
An ordinance authorizing an update to the 2019 budget Form 4 and Form 4B to account for sale of 2018 park bonds.
Mr. Clinker.
I move we hear ordinance 2018-31 on first reading.
I second it.
Any comments by members of the Common Council? Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
Yes. Mr. President, Mike Jones, Controller. This ordinance, excuse me, it concerns the park bonds that we closed on November 14th. Unfortunately, we had our budget hearing on October 28th, and in communication with the DLGF, they have allowed us to petition you to go ahead and reopen these forms and allow for a payment on the 2018 bonds that actually falls into 2019. And this ordinance will allow us to make those adjustments, to put that rate in, which is outside of the maximum levy and does not affect the general fund or the other funds, and account for this payment in 2019.
Any questions of Mr. Jones? Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments by members of the audience? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-31?
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules for the consideration of this ordinance on second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Second, excuse me.
All those, any questions about the suspension of the rules or this particular ordinance?
We need a voice vote.
Vote on the suspension first.
Okay, I'm sorry, good. On the suspension of the rules, we will take a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Mayor?
In case you had a question of why that was necessary, so we could get it turned in before the end of the year, I was going to just be available to answer, but thank you.
Okay. Any questions of the mayor concerning the particular ordinance in general? Members of the audience? There being no questions or comments, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2018-31 on second and final reading?
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. Resolutions, 2018-23.
A resolution adopting the 2019 Common Council calendar of meetings. And, okay, I'll let them get it on the table.
Sure? Okay, good.
Mr. President?
Mr. President, I moved here and pass resolution 2018-23, our common council calendar of meetings.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Brown. Any questions or comments by members of the Common Council?
Sounds good.
Members of the audience wish to address the calendar. There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on Resolution 2018-23?
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0.
Thank you. Resolution 2018-24.
A resolution of the Common Council approving grant of a temporary highway easement to the state of Indiana for the Teal Road US 52 project.
Ms. Salzman.
Mr. President, I move we hear and approve Resolution 2018-24.
Second.
Second. Questions or comments by members of the Common Council? There being none, it says the legal.
This resolution is required because of the State of Indiana Department of Transportation's work on Teal Road at the intersection of 18th and Teal by our fire station. They need a temporary right-of-way to do some grading and improvements to that intersection. And under the various statutes, they're required to pay us for that, and under a methodology. So we're getting $14,675. This resolution authorizes the mayor to execute any and all documents to complete that temporary right-of-way, and it is just temporary. When they're done with the grading, they don't get any part of our road that we have.
Do we have to give them the $1,400 or $14,000 back?
No.
Okay.
We get to keep that.
Good. Any questions or comments from the council? Members of the audience? Thank you. Would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on Resolution 2018-24?
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0.
Thank you. Reports of standing committees. Special committees. The mayor. Miscellaneous and new business. We have some appointments to make. First of all is a GLPTC, term of 4 years, gentleman named Ben Murray. What is the, Mr. Quaker?
I'd like to recommend Ben Murray for another term on the GLPTC board.
I second it.
Questions or comments about Mr. Murray? About his background, his family, or anything like that? Nothing, okay, good. All those in favor signify by saying aye. For Mr.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Redevelopment Commission, 2 people, Mr. Don Teeter and T.J. Thiem. What is the purpose of, yes, sir?
I moved to hear the Don Teeter and T.J. Thiem be appointed to the Redevelopment Commission, term 1 year.
Second. Second. Any questions or comments about those 2 appointments? There being none, anybody in the audience wish to address those appointments? Would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on Mr. Teeter and Mr. Thiem?
You could just do a voice vote on that. You could just do a voice vote on that.
Voice vote,
Yeah.
good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, thank you. If you would notify those 2 people or 3 people.
I'm more than happy to.
Now it is time for public comment. Is there any public comment? There being none, with Mr. Heidi gone, I don't know what we're going to do. Are you
Move
sure?
down to me. I think I can do it. I'd like to move for adjournment.
Second.
Second, all those in favor